First of all, welcome. Before I begin saying a few things about this wonderful evening we've had so far, I'd like to say that it is my great privilege to be able to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where we are now. The land of the Gadigal, of the Eora Nation. I wish to pay my respects to their elders past and present. Distinguished guests, friends, Chair of the Foundation and Friends, Clive, I think he's here somewhere. Royal Botanic Gardens Domain Trust, Trustee, Professor Leslie Hughes. Arundel custodians, Auntie Doris Stewart and Auntie Elaine Peckham, who've travelled all the way from Alice Springs to be here tonight. Wonderful you can all be with us here. And I'm sure, like me, that you all were really thrilled, moved by the extraordinary play, The First Garden, that we saw. Yeah. For me, it was quite overwhelming as a story in terms of the advanced thinking of a solitary woman in the middle of the territory at a time of great difficulty. And of course, today is International Women's Day, and the play offered us the opportunity to commemorate that very remarkable woman, Olive M. Pink, whom, as you have seen, was not only courageous, but had a great vision, deeply committed to the welfare of Aboriginal people, and at the same time to nature conservation and horticulture. Now, the title, The First Garden, of course, is a link to us here in the sense that the Royal Botanic Gardens Sydney is the first European garden on the continent. It's the first farm of a European nature on the continent. So it's the first of the botanic gardens in this country and indeed in the Southern Hemisphere. 200 years old. By comparison with the kind of numbers we've been thinking about this evening, it's nothing. But for Europeans here, it is a remarkable long time that we have actually been gardening in a European sense on this site. And in 2016, we will celebrate our bicentenary. In the meantime, and up to that celebration, we want to engage more people in understanding the purpose of botanic gardens and their vital role in plant conservation. But all this is just a very thin layer on the top of something which is very remarkable in this country, which is 40,000 years of caring for this country. And not only that, as we saw in the play, not only caring for it in a kind of rather paternal, maternal way, but being part of it being part of you. The fact that the environment is not something green out there. We are a tiny part ourselves of the environment. Yeah. And the original people of this country have always known that. And we, very slowly, as settlers, are beginning to learn that. Now, the Royal Botanic Gardens Sydney has, of course, a large number of indigenous species of plants. And our herbarium, our collections out through here, our museum of dried materials, also have most indeed, of our indigenous species. And we have some of our specimens laid around the room here. And above them are some of the images that the remarkable Olive Pink actually, I should always say Olive M. Pink, she always seems to say, but Olive M. Pink did. And there they are. And also, in the case over there, something akin to any of you of horticultural background, Gertrude Jekyll's boots, there are Olive M. Pink's gaiters. But here at the Royal Botanic Gardens Sydney, we don't have just indigenous species of plants. We have, as befits a multicultural country as we now are, many, many species of plants from other parts of the world. We have something in the order of 9,000 different kinds of plants growing here, and 6,000 of them are from overseas. And we try to celebrate not only the great heritage that we have here, but also the new heritage as well, coming in from other countries, and our great festival, of which this play is a part, Autumn in Your Gardens, starts with this. And on Sunday, we have our Autumn Vibes, where we attempt to bring together multicultural activities with the multicultural origins of this modern garden on this truly ancient and important site. Our festival goes on for 3 months of events, not only in this garden, but also at the Australian Botanic Garden, which is entirely devoted to Australian plants at Mount Annan in the southwest of the city, and also at the Blue Mountains Botanic Garden at Mount Tomah, the Blue Mountains. Although it sounds in one sense as though we're just having a bit of a party for a few months, and though that's important, there is of course a far deeper purpose. And that is to educate people about plants. Now, Aboriginal people need hardly any educating about plants. They know, they understand, they've always understood. It's we who are the new people who have to get to grips with this. And that's why I found the play today so moving, because it gave Europeans a way into beginning to understand that fundamental connection. And that is what modern botanic gardens, their role today is reconnecting those disconnected peoples, reconnecting them with plants. That's our role at Botanic Gardens, as part of a much bigger picture of reconnecting people to the land. Now today, as far as European civilization, so-called, which has overtaken the world, as far as European civilization is concerned, what has happened is destruction. There are many, many species of plants that no longer grow in the wild. Some of them have gone forever, and some of them only remain in places like this. Places like this are sanctuaries. Places like this are places of learning and reconnection. Places like this are places where we attempt to help people, to help the natural world. We may grow plants which are no longer growing anywhere else in the world. We may propagate them, spread them, give them to people, share them, reconnect with people. Sometimes the only thing that can be done is to store pieces of them. It's in our wonderful new seed bank called the Plant Bank at the Australian Botanic Garden, Mount Annan, which is a world-class facility with cutting-edge research. It is not only something for Sydney or New South Wales or Australia, it is for the world. And we're going to be opening it formally in the spring. And talking of cutting edge and trailblazing, that brings me to the very remarkable olive M. Pink. Not only, as we've seen by this very remarkable play, an absolutely trailblazing Aboriginal rights activist, she was also an extremely rabid environmentalist. She was, as you can see around the walls here, a botanical artist, and despite her reservations about this, I suppose trained as an anthropologist. But of course, if it wasn't for her, and I'm putting my Botanic Gardens hat on here, if it wasn't for her, there would be no olive pink Botanic Gardens in Alice Springs. And that place is remarkable as a reserve to protect native flora and provide a site where local people can come to learn about plants and indeed about desert environments generally, and not only local people, but people from afar. So it's a great pleasure for me now to welcome, I would like you to join me in welcoming Ben Convery, who is, of course, not only the creator of what has happened this evening for us, but is also curator of the Olive Pink Botanic Gardens. Please join me in welcoming Ben.